Hello and welcome to the Agri-Food Pioneers. We're here to give a voice to companies in the agriculture and food industries making a real difference to the environment. Today I'm joined by Joe Matthews, Design Engineering Manager at Sycamore Process Engineering, and he's going to be talking about process design and manufacturing and how doing it right can make a real difference to the environment. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Nigel. Pleasure to be here.
Great. Okay, let's start off with a simple one. When did you start working at Sycamore and what's your position there?
So I joined Sycamore, it must have been 9 years ago now. So first job straight out of university. And then I'm now a design engineering manager, as you mentioned earlier. So I lead a team of mechanical and process design engineers to produce all things design that Sycamore deliver.
Okay, and what is it that they deliver? What does Sycamore do?
So what we're focusing on, or what we pride ourselves on, is we're providers of end-to-end process solutions within the dairy, food and beverage sector. So we're looking at food manufacturing processes, pasteurization, storage vessels, CIP cleaning systems, and steps along the way that obviously take a raw product such as milk and transfer it into the sort of the end product you'll see, whether that's cheese or yogurt, or it could be milk, it could be tomato soups, sauces, beverages, fruit juices, things like that. So really working whatever the process steps require to produce a final product that you'll see on the supermarket shelves. That's where Sycamore can come in and support transfer that process journey from start to finish. Okay,
so let me get this straight. I've got a big tanker full of milk or something like that, and then you come along, you install the tanker and then all the pipe work that connects that to the other parts of the factory or warehouse or wherever it is, and then you plan it all out and make sure it's exactly as custom as it needs to be for your client. And then do you handle the installation yourself as well?
Yeah. So we go right from, I guess, cradle to grave, kind of start to finish. It is start with a conversation with a customer. It could be as similar as this, saying we want to make X amount of semi-skimmed milk in our process. So we'll start right from a blank sheet of paper. We'll work with our customers to then develop vessels, pumps, heat exchangers, valving, right up to the sort of end where we'll supply into a filler or filling machine or whatever they do. So we will do the whole shooting match in design. We'll then mechanically design it. So 3D models, drawings. We have a manufacturing setup here in Sparkford in Somerset, where all our equipment is made. So we'll have the mechanical drawings. We'll build it in the workshop. We'll have the crew that builds it in the workshop can then take that equipment to the customer's site. We can install it. We can run the pipework around the site as required, linking in with services and other bits of equipment. And then we will also do the next step of commissioning, training, validation, optimization, followed by spares and after sales support as well for our equipment. So really is what we focus on is that complete package, end to end, start to finish process solutions.
Awesome. Go Sycamore. So look, we've talked, let's get down to it. Like, why are you here? Why are you an agri-food pioneer? And I know that there's a lot to be said for the processing process. But like why are you here? How are old, outdated processing systems affecting the environment negatively?
I guess like every industry, there's loads of technological developments going on in every engineering sector, every sector up and down the country, or internationally, worldwide. And the old, outdated stuff, obviously, as technology's moved on, we're able to do a lot more. I guess a lot more with the same, or a lot more with a lot less. And I get that's the key focus point we want, whether it's, the food processing equipment utilizes everything you can think of. It's electrical power consumption, it's steam, it's gas, it's chilled water systems, it's mains water systems, it's chemical consumption for cleaning. It really has such a broad spectrum of usages, and and they all have an impact, an environmental footprint on implementing those into the raw product to transform it into the finished product. So being able, I guess, to put in the most up-to-date systems just to minimize those consumptions, minimize your water consumption, save as much water as you can. Obviously, it's been all over the news recently. There's been recording it, droughts coming in and challenges we're faced with locally, as well as gas and electrical prices absolutely soaring, going through the roof. So if we're able to, in some cases, we can totally almost eliminate some of those consumption cases, or minimize as much as we possibly can. So by using new equipment, we can minimize carbon footprint, and support that sort of sustainable growth and of the industry going forward. Because as ever, we're a growing population. We need more food. We need to be able to produce more, but we're looking at ways to bring that down. And from an equipment perspective, there's lots of opportunities around something. I can't remember the statistic. Something like 10% of all the world's electrical power consumption is used in pumps. And that's across every industry that uses pumps. But 10% of the whole world's consumption is in pumps. So just looking at those, what are we doing in the process engineering sector in food production to make sure we can minimize our consumption with just simple, all the pumps in a system. If you look at it, would be countless pumps in a system from start to finish, 20, 30, 40, 50, if not more on a site. So if you can improve efficiency of each of those by 5% or so, you make quite a large impact just from doing an analysis of one item of equipment in the process. So the scope of outdated processing systems is so broad, I guess, that there's loads of things you can look at.
Yeah, it sounds it. So you're minimizing waste. You're reducing the usage of everything you just described. It sounds like it makes a lot of sense. And how are people with these outdated systems? I guess the main challenge that they face is being able to finance a newer, more modern system. And do you calculate? I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of savings after these new processes are installed. Is there like a payback term that they will earn the money back in a certain amount of time? How do your clients tend to finance such a big investment?
It's it basically does it boil down to exactly that. It's a typical capital expenditure versus operational expenditure analysis. And I think one thing we probably all, if I went back 5 years, or back to when I started, 9 years ago in the industry, everything was looking at price. It was, how much does it cost? How can we get this for as cheap as we possibly can? Because, some of our customers may be the big players, Arla, Muller, Saputo, big brands out there that you'll see on the shelves. Some of the more local, smaller end of the scale, they're definitely very capital conscious. So justifying that is probably something we didn't do a lot of 9 years ago. It was just, how can we provide the cheapest solution that does the right job for it? And in submitting our proposals, I guess from what I see, we would never really get challenged on how much energy does your system use, though. It was always, can you take 5% off the price? Can you take 10% off the price? It was never, can you knock 10% off your energy consumption? And we'll the cost that is involved in that. So yeah, funding is justifying because it costs money. It does to in a lot of cases to have these. Some are sort of just swaps you can do with sensible process design. But some of them do cost money, and it is exactly that, a payback of, right, I can swap to this pump. It's slightly bigger, but it saves you 10% on your energy bill every year for that specific pump. It's a 3-year payback. So we need to look at the broader system, and it's something that's happening a lot more. It's something we're at Sycamore we're putting forward to our customers, and we're coming forward with it, whether they ask for it or not. We will do an operational expenditure analysis, and we will put our consumption out there and say this is what our system can do. But the conversations are happening a lot more, which I think is great as an industry, to show we are thinking about it from start to finish. Customers of us, and obviously essentially retailers down the line are all thinking about it, and conversations are starting to be had around how does your operationally, how do you what benefits can we get from your system. So it's a really mixed one. We still have challenges where ultimately people have budgets. People obviously there's a lot of grant funding supported projects in this sector as people grow and bring new produce and produces new opportunities in local areas. There's government grant funded solutions, and it's not all about cost for those, but you have to be on your A game to justify if there's an additional cost. If someone can do it cheaper, why is this more expensive solution the best way to go? It's because it will save you these things in your carbon footprint, in your energy bills, and it might cost you £100,000 more, but it's going to save you £75,000 a year in energy bills. Those, you got to be quite deliberate in how we propose those now, compared to before. It was probably just all focused on how can we get it cheap.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly why you're here, because you're putting this into conversation, and you're showing just like that it makes sense to go for these more economical, like more expensive systems, but that is actually going to save you money longer term. Okay, can you quickly go over a recent job that you've done that's had a positive environmental impact for us? Give us a bit of a case study.
As best sort of design case, a recent one, we had a cheese milk pasteurizing system. Mm-hmm. So that is taking raw milk, heating it to pasteurization temperature to kill any bacteria that may have been present in the milk, and then cooling it back down to a processing temperature suitable for cheese production in this case. So taking the milk from 4 degrees coming in, heating it up to 74, 75, I think it was in this application, and then cooling it back down to around 30 degrees is quite a energy consuming process in itself. It's just in terms of the heating and cooling profiles. And working with the customer, they installed a CHP plant, combined heating and power system. I don't confess to know the ins and outs of how they work by any way, shape or mean. The byproduct of that process was hot water, what they refer to as low temperature hot water, even though it's at 90 degrees, but it's called low temperature hot water. And what we were able to do is where the heating profile on the pasteurizer would normally be supplied via steam. The energy source would be from steam, from a boiler. So normally, a gas-powered boiler. What we were able to do is use the byproduct from the CHP plant that they had installed on the site, utilize this low temperature hot water to do the complete heating duty on the pasteurizer, meaning they didn't have to run with steam in any way, shape or form on the pasteurizer. So we could save them the whole consumption. It worked out to about 1 megawatt worth of energy in terms of total consumption that we were looking at during the runtime of the pasteurizer. And the pasteurizers run typically 20 hours a day on production. So huge savings by being able to take the steam offline, do it completely with this low temperature hot water that the site had available, integrate it with smart process design and smart controls with how we manage it, and complete that process system without the use of steam.
Nice work, Joe.
So good, thank you.
Impressive job. That's amazing. Congratulations. Okay, we're just coming to the end now. What would you say your company's longer term vision is? Does it have a 5-year, 10-year plan, anything like that?
Oh, I guess within that remit, we're looking to expand. We're looking to grow. The site we're on in terms of physically scale of the business, we want to be able to do more. We want to be able to get more resources, support more businesses, supply more systems. But ultimately, we want to be part of the solution that is to provide a sustainable supply chain from farm to table. How we get our products from the raw produce that comes in from farms, wherever it might be, to the end product that you see on your plate. We want to be part of that sustainable supply chain, supplying best in class, top of the line process systems to give all those benefits we've just touched on. Reduce that energy consumption, reduce the footprint of our industry as much as we possibly can, and be real leaders, innovate where we can. We're supported by lots of partnerships. Fortunate enough with our business. We want to build a good network of partnerships around us at Sycamore and work towards that sustainable future as part of the food chain that we ultimately are.
Nice one, Joe. And now we always close off these programs with one final question, which is, how can the viewers of this channel help you and Sycamore on their mission? So what do you got for us? What can we do to help?
What can you do to help me out? I guess the biggest thing is just awareness that I touched on a bit earlier on. When I first joined, it probably was not being talked about. It wasn't being challenged. It wasn't, can you tell me, what considerations you've made on that valve selection or that cleaning head selection on your tank? And as I guess the mantra back, it's probably been around for years, but businesses being run by accountants, it was just numbers. It was what's the cheapest and does it get me my end solution? Happy days, let's buy it. Rather than that awareness to ask the right questions. And there'll be some challenging questions that I'll probably regret asking for. Eventually there'll be some challenging questions from customers that think, hey, why didn't we do that? Why didn't we think about that? But awareness across our industry, from our Sycamore's competitors to our customers to our suppliers, is asking the right questions that say, is this optimized for our process? Is this optimized for what we want to do? Does it give us the best return on investment? Does it have the best, the lowest possible operational expenditure it can? Is it, performing in those areas? So I think that's the best thing you can do as viewers and as consumers, as wherever you might fit in the chain, is asking those questions of, have you thought about, where do you fit on the energy performance of, obviously, with this new system? So we're all talking the same thing. We're all raising the same questions. We're all fighting against the same challenge and pushing each other on to achieve better things. I think
nice one, Joe. Thank you very much. Ask more questions is the moral of the story. Thank you very much for joining us on Agri-Food Pioneers, Joe.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Nice one. So subscribe now and click the bell so you'll be notified when we speak to more pioneers of the agri-food industry that are leading the way to a sustainable, low carbon and regenerative future. Thanks for watching.
Are you an agri-food pioneer? Get in touch now to arrange your interview.